Alright, checking feeds.
What's up?
Checking the streams. Hold on.
I gotta fix my hex chat. Oh, actually, weird.
Bless you, Tank.
Yes, bless you. Yes, bless you. Bless you. I'm gonna have to recapture that hex chat. Hold on a second. Let me get rid of this.
Come on, streams.
Why is this taking so long?
I think it's because of your connection.
I don't have anything dropped.
Alright, we got one. Maybe Twitch and YouTube are just going slow this morning.
Okay.
They both say they're going.
Is M doing the show?
Yes.
Can I do it?
We're live right now.
You sound a little weird.
Okay, I can't talk.
He just had his mouth drilled.
I don't recommend
that
doing
sounded
that.
terrible.
I'm so sorry. God, you sound pitiful. My apologies. Be well, Proctor.
Come on. What is buffering so bad?
All right, what did I do different? How come it's taking so freaking long after I hit start for things to?
Michael, it's just I don't know. It's just buffering on my side, so that's what I'm
Well,
checking.
okay, Brentley, like your video is completely frozen.
It says my internet connection is unstable.
Well, it appears to be just on your end because I'm not seeing that. Proctor's working just fine, Mr. Atari down there. I see Nick's video feed. While I don't see the other two.
All right, well maybe it's just Cox then.
All right, okay. Thank you, Glenn. Glenn's providing us some status updates, and let me see. Yeah, Glenn, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. If everyone out there in TV land can, or internet world can hear something that's coming out of my mouth, don't know what it is, if it's speech or just blabber. But, okay. Glenn's giving semi-confirmation that things appear to be okay, so I'm going to go ahead and roll out the intro to the show. Welcome, everyone. Today's Monday. It's 05 a.m. Sorry for the slight delay in starting the show today, but this is the Foolish Tech Show. We're here to help our customers, first and foremost, with any questions or concerns. Customers, that's both current customers as well as future customers. So if you have a question about our software or services and would like to clarify anything with us, you have access to our entire crew here. So, as usual, I'm joined with the team here. You probably all know us by now, or I would hope. But if not, it's Nick, myself, Proctor, Johnny, and Tank. Who's that sixth person? There's an extra person in here. Well, anywho.
Brantley.
Oh, Brantley. Oh, I keep forgetting Brantley.
God damn it! Don't make me.
Proctor recently had some surgery on his mouth, so everyone, please excuse that and wish him well. He's dealing with some trouble with the drilling. I'm sure we can probably share some stories related to that if anyone's had some mouth operations recently. And Glenn, I'm so sorry. Part of it's Australia, part of it is, I'm sure, something we're doing. But hopefully you can have an okay experience down there in the outback. And I don't know where I'm going with this, but what's up for today? How's everyone? Did everyone have a good weekend?
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay.
Outback. Is he in the outback? I don't.
Isn't all of Australia the outback? That's at least what the restaurant would have me believe.
Yeah, the restaurant seems to want me to believe that too. And outback behind what exactly? Like, I need some more specifics.
So I want to start off with today is apparently a holiday for England and for Australia apparently.
Oh,
And
happy holiday, Glenn.
I was talking with actually Brytech about this, and he was like, "It's a bank holiday on Monday," and I was like, "What's a bank holiday?" And he was like, "Well, it's when all the banks are closed and everybody gets the day off." I was like, "Oh, so it's like a federal holiday here?" And he was like, "Yeah, basically." And then I was like, "What holiday is it exactly?" And he's like, "Um, I don't know. It's just a bank holiday." And I was like, they just close it down, or is there a reason for it? And he's like, well, hold on, let me look it up. And then he looks it up and he's like, well, yeah, so you get New Year's Eve, you get Valentine's, you get Easter, you get St. Patrick's Day, and then you get early May. And I was like, wait, you're about to celebrate early May holiday? That's your holiday for today off? Early May. It's like they were like, all right, we got a holiday in this month.
Listen. I really think we shouldn't be
We
judging
need a holiday right
We shouldn't be judging holidays. We don't understand the traditions and the culture and the history.
I talked about this with a person that is in the country that created.
But just like us, I might not know.
He was just flabbergasted about it as well. He was like,
just
you're
because
right.
I might not understand something or might have studied a historic figure in our country does not mean that person didn't do something significant. So, I don't know.
That figure, the month of May, it did something significant. Early May, even.
All right, it's
that's not that crazy of a thing to make fun of. It's like they wanted a holiday in May, so they just made up early May holiday.
There's got to be more to it. I'm looking.
It doesn't really. They do a thing over there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it does seem to be.
Glenn says it's linked to the Soviet Revolution. May Day.
Glenn would know more. I'm sorry, never mind. I'm just.
Let me
What
see
is?
what I can find.
He said it's been changed around a lot. The unions apparently got their way and brought it back. So it's just interesting. An early May holiday.
So
and
should I be looking up Bolshevik holidays or what? Okay.
I don't think you should be looking up any holidays, Michael.
It's International. May 1st is International Labor Day.
That was
in the
yesterday.
Soviet Union. It's celebrated on May 1st and 2nd, by the way. Now called, well, I can't read that because that's not in the link. Celebration of Spring and Labor. So this is probably a. Okay, well, you do know that last night, or no, 4:30, the end of April, that's like the witches' Sabbath or whatever. But it's basically based upon.
I did not know that, Mr. Pagan.
Well, anyway, but basically,
Tell us more.
it's well, I had some friends that were into that back in the day. But at any rate, it's basically a festival, a seasonal festival, basically, and related to harvest. I don't know, something agricultural, and it appears that this is very much the same thing. And you'll find this throughout all cultures that there's always these things that honestly go back
What's funny about it,
thousands of
Michael,
years.
though, is the fact that they only refer to it as a bank holiday. They don't refer to it as, hey, it's early May holiday. Like, the guy had to look it up to find out what this holiday was for. He just knew it as, it's like us just saying, oh, this coming Monday is a federal holiday.
Yeah, but I mean, first of all, we
just
advertise Christmas.
Don't ask any more about what it is. It's a federal holiday.
Would you know that Christmas has anything to do with?
Okay?
Would you know that Christmas has anything to do with religion by watching our commercials? Would you have any idea that Christmas?
Michael, that doesn't. You're not making any sense. You're like going off about other things. Like if it was Christmas or any other thing, like other than just it's bank holiday. That's what they're saying. It's just they're like, would you be fine with them just saying, all right, coming up today is a federal holiday. Stop asking questions.
I don't like ignorance.
Federal services are closed. You can probably just go ahead and take off too.
I never remember the holidays that we even have over here, but I do like if someone says, "Oh yeah, something closed for the holiday," I'm like, I am a little curious. I'm like, "Oh, what holiday is it?" And then they'll tell me, and then I'll know what to do. Coming up to.
I think it's an educational
get mom a
opportunity.
present. Is the next one.
Well, he also brought up the other side of it too, was that like all the stores have sales and stuff for it, and I was like, oh, so it's kind of like a President's Day, like a day they just made up to make a sale for, and everybody has
Glenn,
sales.
come on, Glenn, why? I say good stuff.
Michael,
excuse for federal employees to not work.
Yeah. Well, apparently everyone in England takes off for bank holidays.
Yeah, May Day, May Day.
That's the Michael filter right there.
No, May Day, Maypole. I mean, it's not exactly an unknown holiday around the world. Exactly. So.
Didn't even know.
Glenn's going off on the.
Yeah, Glenn's having a time with all of this. God bless you, Glenn. Thanks for joining us.
It's good stuff.
Good morning, one and all.
Yeah.
Well.
Yay.
Okay. So, doesn't anybody have any questions about our software or something?
Well, if you don't, Satoshi or whatever revealed his identity this past weekend.
Oh, the Bitcoin guy?
Yeah.
He did? Really? Wow, I
Yeah.
thought he would never do that, actually. I'm surprised by that.
He had already been outed. The Wired and other news stories were right.
Oh.
But now
Oh.
he's been outed and he proved it. And Glenn, he's over in your neck of the woods.
And so what's his worth? What's his worth?
Well,
Bitcoin
from
worth.
what they claim is he's acquired over 1 million in Bitcoin, like 1 million Bitcoin. So
Oh my God. Oh my God.
450 million at current market value.
Oh my. That's a lot of
And
Bitcoin.
the way he actually proved it is he was able to offer up the digitally signed option for the first Bitcoin transaction. So
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty legit. As far as
Yeah, I'd
you can
say
tell.
the very fact that he has that much Bitcoin, and the very fact that he was able to
But
produce that leads
it's
me to
not known
believe.
if he has that much Bitcoin.
Well,
That's what they estimate it
oh,
to be.
okay. Well,
But
I'm sure he doesn't want to
it's
advertise
not
it either
super
for his security and all. So he doesn't have to pay what Zuckerberg, let's say, pays for security every every year, or whoever it was that we were talking about with that. But yeah, I mean, it stands to reason. I'd say that you're right. It's you know, he's definitely that person, and nobody could be right. Nobody could be faking that information, right? I mean, that's not possible. For instance, that first transaction, correct? Correct?
Oh, that would be interesting, Glenn. Glenn's thinking of making an Android app, a button with DSS style, where basically it just sends an email when the client's computer is foobar and everything buffers. So he's gonna make an Android app where you just push a button and it yells help.
They're mandating that in India actually, but not for computer troubles. I don't think.
Yeah,
What?
I think
The help
was
button?
it
Are we
Glenn that
talking about
pointed
help
that
button?
out?
On cell phones. On cell phones.
Yeah.
Trying to mandate a help button for. I don't even.
Somebody pointed that out and said it was going to be like the click, 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 click. All right, 367 clicks. It's fixed. I think it was Glenn that pointed that out last Friday. He imagines it's going to be like that.
Okay, so did you the bad news robots? Did you hear about the robot story? I know you're
What?
very Brantley. You like robots and you don't want to see them get hurt, and
Please.
they're
What?
they're hurting each other in this story. And it no,
Awesome.
yeah, no, it's the 25th annual first competition. This is the first I've heard of it. No pun intended. But I thought that was interesting, and it looks like quite a few people compete in this, and they're I don't know, it kind of reminds me just of the floor of it. It reminds me of that what was that show with the robots battling each other? That used to come
Uh,
on. You know what I'm talking
Robot
about.
Wars.
Battle.
Yeah,
Robot.
BattleBots.
BattleBot. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of enjoyed that in its brief.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and they had some cool little guys in returning
I mean,
champions.
like
And all that
slightly for like
Well,
actually it was kind of lame too.
well,
I
for
mean,
for the
there
time
were
period, but
sometimes it was even for the
um,
time period. I mean, sometimes it was just like it was like cool that there, but it was like
Yeah.
now
They
first
should
mm,
stands
come back
for
and add
first.
drone technology to all those, so they're like flying around and having saws and stuff coming out.
So that's what FIRST is about, for inspiration and recognition of science and technology. So that's basically a STEM thing. Um, Anywho,
no,
Oh, I
still
thought
there.
I thought you were going back to the May 1st thing.
oh no, I thought it was. Did you hear about the continuing drama with the iPhone crap, or similar crap? Um, there's that guy. Now, see, I don't believe news today because now you're telling me it's a or yesterday news. It's a holiday, and I don't know. Is it like April Fool's Day with news? I hope
Yeah.
not. Okay,
Today's the holiday.
whatever.
There's actually been a couple things of that. One lady was forced to unlock her phone by court order,
Okay.
and another person has taken it. Um, it's really vague area too, because that could be falling under the Fifth Amendment of self-incrimination, but at the same time, the police are allowed to take your fingerprints without uh, court order, and they can, if they have your phone for some reason, they could use those fingerprints to unlock it. But like, I mean, if they're able to take your fingerprints and you lock your phone with your fingerprints, it's not that hard to take your fingerprints and have a silicone fake fingerprint.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Fingerprint
they can break
technology.
I think no matter what the legality, of it is, there's with all of the amendments and things and prior anything, there was some. I read that too. There was a couple of precedents, but they were kind of about different things that came together. But but I think if anything, it would be the intent, and it would come down to the intent of the person to protect their private data, knowing like you have to make like a reasonable intent to like say lock things, so before say a police officer couldn't search a locked item or something. I don't think here anyway. Couldn't search like a locked chest or something like that without a warrant. Couldn't enter your home without a warrant. It's locked. It's got a lock on it. It's intended to keep people out. Your fingerprint is intended to do the same thing, but knowing full well that the police can take your fingerprint and that it's not. It's like that it's a lock for everyone but the police or the
I
guy who finger off.
I was fingerprinted.
So,
I was fingerprinted
whatever.
by law.
And the mob guy.
By law, I had to be
Yeah, so-
fingerprinted in kindergarten when I was went to New York City public
Or the
schools.
FBI just has it on file, I guess. Yeah.
But listen, regarding identification and fingerprinting, it's basically biometrics is what we're talking about. And I actually watched a very impressively good movie this weekend relating to biometrics. I'm sorry, Nick. What did you want to?
Oh, I was just going to point out RTM Tech's comment of implied consent and how you consent for some of these things when you get a driver's license.
Interesting. Yeah.
But there's so much of that, but it does. I don't know. I mean, regardless of your rights, there's a certain amount that we do,
Yeah.
for just automatically by participating in certain things. So.
Yeah. There's this implicit trust in communication and interaction amongst humans that a lot of times puts us at risk security-wise. We don't always think about, but it's just sort of necessary for convenience in modern life,
But that really brings the larger issue back down to earth, I think, and that's the idea that these powers exist to protect us theoretically, not to harm us.
Well,
and us being the greater good, the public, the society.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I think there should be a
phone searched or whatever, and that's the intent of the law.
Yeah.
And we can't actually forget that that's not a bad idea. But we do need to talk about how to best implement that, since things are different these days. But yes, I don't think we need to forget that was actually the intent. Just to protect us.
Sure.
I figured out why I was having internet connection issues.
Hold on. Can I get out?
Because Michael just started back up his BitTorrent client right before the show, apparently.
No, I've been trying to sync my BitTorrent client all weekend long, and you've had yours off. If you just happen to bring it back up
No,
recently, that's not my
mine
issue.
yours has been off.
No, I've
All
been
big
trying to
assumptions.
sync the whole weekend, and
I
it
haven't
hasn't
turned mine
worked.
on or off. I just noticed it was syncing, and I was like, oh, well, that's
Okay.
why.
Anyway,
Michael hasn't been syncing all weekend.
let me get back
But
to
if we do,
let me get back to my story regarding the movie I watched over the weekend and relating to biometrics. This
What
was
movie was it?
Yeah, it was called I Origins, and it was rated under sci-fi. And I was just basically browsing for sci-fi movies that I, hadn't seen. And this looks like to be like it was a South African film, but it was,
That's a good movie. A lot of people like that movie.
yeah. I was hugely impressed, and the reason is that I thought it took a unique approach to, I don't know. This is a question that's always troubled me and a lot of other people, and it's regarding the proof of or the validity of spirituality and its role in regards to science and a lot of other factors. And this movie sort of explored some of those things, and it did it in such a beautiful way. Now, I must warn you, there are references to numerology and some other things in this film which you may or may not be aware of or possibly comfortable with. But if you'll go at it with an open mind, I think it's a beautifully artistic film, and it's beautiful to watch, whether or not you agree with it or
What
not.
does that story have to do with biometrics and fingerprint scanners?
Because it's your eye. Okay, it's so. For instance, in this future that they describe in this movie, they identify and catalog everyone, particularly in larger countries like India, but also in the U.S. and everywhere else apparently in the world, because this huge firm who developed biometric technology about reading eye prints, basically. They became very successful. At any rate, so everybody's being cataloged in this database, and the science behind it is that this is unique, like a fingerprint. It is not reproducible for anyone, and they then seem to locate people that do have matching prints. And those people that do have matching prints never overlap in time, and they, you know, uh, long story short, it's like a past life type thing. So basically, someone dies, they it would appear get reborn in some way in another body. Now, does that body act the same way? Is it, or whatever? It remains to be seen. But they explore this topic in it, and it's all focused on the eye, and there's so eyes appear all throughout. The human eye appears all throughout this film, and it's sort of irrespective of gender, of background, where you are culturally or
RTM
anything
Tech.
else.
RTM Tech has a numerologist, but he prefers to be called a bookie.
Thank you, RTM and Glenn. I appreciate it. But anyway, I think it's worth a watch. I definitely would recommend it. It's an hour and 46 minutes long. It's a beautiful love story too. It's a romance.
Well, I'm glad you told me that, because I was wondering, man, if it's an hour and 47 minutes long, there's no way I'm sitting through that. But now that you've told me it's an hour and 46 minutes long, it might be on my
Well, the
list.
cast isn't
I've already
terribly
actually watched
large. The one
it. It is a
Will
fairly good movie. You just ignore all of Michael's stuff.
no Stephen Yeun
Watch.
from Walking Dead is in it, by the way.
Check
I
this
wanted to
out.
mention.
They have a real hoverboard. It's jet powered, so it's not like it's within everyone's reach, but this is a real hoverboard that like actually hovers over the ground. Um, yes, RTM Tech. That's the essential basis of the movie, is that when you get reincarnated, you have the same iris, and that's what's imprinted and how you can track people that have been reincarnated.
Well, and in other words, there seemed to be a certain amount. Well, it's interesting the way the movie ended. It ended. It would appear that it left the question wide open as far as where you would want to go with it. But, and this is one thing I would want to point out to everyone watching this movie, please watch past the credits. They sort of solidify the ending of the movie in a much more in a closing fashion. You know, they close it up versus leaving it open ended, which you might get the impression of if you didn't watch past the credits. So please take that into consideration. And there's just beautiful eyes. I mean, I think, as you all recall, there was a Time magazine cover, I believe, of a beautiful girl, I think it was, with these eyes, and it captured the attention of the entire world because of its beauty and I think a relatively impoverished area. So. And the eye is also, the eye, a window to the soul type thing, that concept. It's Anyway, I'll stop rambling, but I thought it was.
Yeah, we got it. We got it about 6 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Yes, RTM Tech, he set a record with the jet-powered hoverboard. That's actually a pretty cool thing. I'm excited about those hopefully becoming mass available. This is another interesting article, and actually it's related to another thing. So, and this hasn't gotten much news apparently, but so there's a underground fire that's been burning in outside of St. Louis, Missouri, and it started in a landfill and has been burning for the past 6 years. They are now trying to stop it. I don't even think this article actually tells you the actual reason that they're trying to stop it is because it's getting dangerously close to a nuclear waste site. So that's going to cause some big problems. And apparently the EPA has been in charge of this underground fire for the past 6 years, and they haven't done anything to do it. And no, it doesn't look like this article mentions. Oh yeah. It does in the first paragraph, but yeah, so the stuff from the Manhattan Project and things like that are all the government's buried near this fire. Of course, it wasn't burning then, but it's been burning for the past 6 years, and now they're concerned about it because it's about to start burning up nuclear waste, which is not going to be good for anyone in Missouri.
And it would have been a lot easier to take care of if they'd have just gone, let's not wait until it gets dangerously close to the nuclear material.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the points there.
Maybe we should just take care of that now.
I am extremely surprised at how hard it is to fight underground fires. Like, I know that above ground fires are pretty hard to fight, but I mean, they've had like entire towns get shut down because of coal fires. Like, there's apparently one under Pennsylvania, I think, that's been raging for like almost half a century. It's just
Where's the fire at?
outside of St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh dang.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm extremely interested with underground fires. It's pretty crazy that they're able to burn that long.
Yeah, well, you remember The Simpsons, and they always used to joke about the tire plant, the fire at the tire place or whatever in the town. It was going on, it goes on forever, basically. It's the same sort of concept in that, and it's usually typically, something in the case of petroleum or a petroleum byproduct in the case of the rubber and the tires, being a virtually unlimited, long-lasting fuel source for those things. But I'm going to take a turn back to
crazy with
what did you
like
do?
Oxygen is something that is really needed, and usually you think of like fires above ground going crazy because of the wind conditions.
Oh, that's true. Mhm.
Not the case with underground. And like most of the time, I would think to put out a fire, if I dump dirt on it, the fire's going out. But
Yeah, but I mean, well, you have to understand that large underground areas exist, and just because they're underground doesn't mean they don't have access to any
I think the
oxygen.
key is
But
oxidant, like RTM Tech pointed out. And yeah, there's that town that got shut down. There's actually a really nice documentary on the town Centrilla, Pennsylvania, and it has been burning since 1962, so 53 years. That was last year, so 54 years now. So, that stuff is pretty crazy and interesting to me. Apparently, they had to like really force people out. The town actually didn't get really shut down until a kid ran out in his yard and disappeared because he fell in a hole because the fire had burned under the city and was apparently making the whole city unstable.
it always takes a kid to get hurt or to die before people start to notice the bad things, and that's kind of sad. Um, Listen, I want to mention I'm big, on this topic, but there's basically oversight, particularly oversight regarding um, when you're tapping into people's emails and phone calls and surveilling them, things like that. I think is important. Obviously, national security is also very important, so I think it's something that just as a necessary sort of evil that we be able to surveil. But I think there's a bit of a issue when um, the court that's there to oversee and determine whether or not those are valid over the course of years basically rejects 12 requests out of the um, out of all that they received for warrants for surveillance, basically. I think it's a bit disturbing. I don't know what everyone else's take on it is, but it would appear that the very court designed to oversee the issue is largely not doing
Well, I mean, what
anything. But
exactly can you trust in a secret court in the first place? Like,
well, that's true. I
it's
mean,
not
I
exactly
guess.
like that's we're definitely going to be open and honest here. This is definitely for oversight. It's not. It's secret for a reason because that they don't want any actual oversight. They just want the appearance of oversight because it's technically required by our constitution.
Well, I see your point. And yeah, in that sense, yeah, it's a little bit irrelevant. When you talk about a secret court, the very fact that you have a secret court might be cause for concern, let alone what it actually does. So I see your point in that. But did you already mention this, particularly in relation to Glenn and Australia regarding the VPNs? Did you talk about anything like that already? I don't
And
remember.
you've been here the whole time.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, Australia. Interestingly, Glenn? What's your thought on that? Basically, I just posted a link to an article suggesting that VPN usage in Australia is actually okay to be able to access content. Um,
Um,
I don't know, Brantley. I mean, your thoughts too on that? Because we've
well,
been
no,
discussing
that's
this.
actually a big point I wanted to bring up with the. So apparently, that Supreme Court decision that changed Rule 41 for allowing the FBI to get search warrants and such appears to apply to the fact that they don't even need a search warrant to search people that are anonymizing their stuff.
Oh,
So
I did read that. Yes, 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 yes.
Tor or a VPN, basically your system is fine for FBI hacking.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
and not hacking quote unquote, but basically penetration.
Oh, and also no
They,
jurisdiction
they
either.
have,
You can be anywhere in the world, and as long
yeah.
as you're anonymous, they can do this. Yeah.
So it's like basically open season for anyone that's. I mean, like, so it's like if you're trying to anonymize, then you're basically a criminal before proven guilty. It's pretty strange, and I mean, at that point, Michael, it doesn't matter if you put everything through your VPN or not, even though it's not the best way to use that. So, it actually, well, it still would matter because it would still make it easier for them to de-anonymize your traffic. So, speaking of Michael and things that will upset him, here's another thing you can do with the Raspberry Pi that you can't do with the Odroid. Build a 2-player arcade table from a Raspberry Pi and IKEA.
Untrue, but whatever.
Oh, never buy an Odroid.
I would like to point out that, like I said, I have gotten so much. I use my Odroid on a daily basis. It's one of the best purchases I have ever made, and I am going to purchase several more. So, do what you will with your Pi.
Why? You should wait until.
And he's going to do all of this just to spite you, Brantley.
Well, it's not so much to spite, but just based upon my experience.
You didn't have a reason to buy it in the first place, so
I did. It's well, listen. What I don't get is how my Odroid Media Center is
come up with things to use this for now. I got 6 of them.
I don't understand how my Odroid Media Center.
This one talks to my dogs. I don't have to do that anymore. This one tells me good morning when I wake up. This one over here tells me good night. They are extremely powerful devices. It's fine to pick on you, Michael, because there's no reason to have them. It's like you have no reason. You just.
What are you talking about? My media streaming device. I don't do TV. I need my Odroid for my media streaming.
Now it is, but when you got it, it was not even available for that platform. So you've waited over a month and a half to be able to use that device.
Yeah, and do I keep track of everything? Do I send you a progress report that you have to fill out every week for what you've done with your Pi? I mean, it's irrelevant.
I talk about
and
all this
like I said, they released the hardware prior to the software being released. So you would expect something like this, and that's the whole point of a development board. Okay? And guess what? Like I said, I watched them side by side. I went into Kodi on my Pi, and I went to Kodi on my Odroid, and I'll tell you, it was a night and day difference in experience, and I was very impressed by the amount of power from an ARM device that not only rivaled, that completely, seemingly had a better experience than my quad-core Celeron in the router box that I built. Okay, so to me, it's lower power. It's lower power. It's better. It's a great choice.
The thing RTM Tech likes about the Raspberry Pi is that you can just put whatever SD card you want, or you can put whatever you want on an SD card, and you can have as many devices as you have cards. And that's another thing you can't do with the Odroid.
What do you mean? Why not? The SD card, it's the same.
Just because it makes your voice rise really high pitched.
No, but I mean, it has the same support for SD cards and operating systems.
It's like way up here.
Come on, Lucy. Let's go in. Come on, Lucy.
Michael's frustration level follows the pitch of his voice, if y'all haven't picked that up. So when he gets really frustrated, he starts to talk like this. Like the bad guy from Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
That's way better than what I said last week. I don't remember. We describe this every once in a while, but it's obvious enough.
I just so think of Roger Rabbit when he gets into that.
Eventually, he's going to get so mad only the dogs are going to be able to hear him.
Thank you, Tank. That was awesome. God, I love your comedy. I love your comedy.
I love it when
Nuanced and
Tank
it's
says that.
intelligent. I respect that, Tank. What cards are you using in your router box or board? Oh, Glenn asked a question about what I was using. What do you mean by card exactly?
But memory card. He uses the Samsung Evos. I already
Oh
know.
yeah. Well,
I was-
actually, I also purchased a Pro Plus. There's Evo Pluses and Pro Plus. I think Evo Plus is by far probably the best for general people because of its performance and price. However, the Pro Plus, if you need right performance, particularly if you want to get close to what the performance you might expect from the writing on an eMMC device like Odroid advertises, you could get the Pro Plus. The problem with the Pro Plus is the cost. The Samsung Pro Plus is way too expensive. You could get probably three Evo Pluses for the cost of a Pro Plus of and even then you might not get the same size. Just something to consider.
He said sorry motherboard, so he's asking what what
Okay.
year.
So Glenn, the motherboard in the router box
Your
that I'm
OBN
using is
box,
that's
I'm
probably
getting
going
it,
to.
Glenn, and I'll get you the nicer, better one because I got
Oh yeah.
better than what my
Brentley
cost.
actually has the same model one. He has a different, I think a slightly later one than I got. I purchased mine, I believe, a little bit before he did. But yeah, it works pretty well. It's got two Realtek gigabit Ethernet cards on it. Nothing terribly fancy. And it does have integrated Wi-Fi, but just ends. I mean, I didn't purchase it for that. I just sort of had that as an after effect. But it was a Celeron N2930, I believe, and that's a 1.86 gigahertz quad-core processor. Let's see if I can get some Intel specs. Yeah. So I love ARC, in case you guys didn't know, whenever looking up Intel information. So it's 1.86 gigahertz turbos up to 2.16, but that's dependent upon the thermals and all that. Very low profile device. Yeah.
Oh, I hate Amazon's linking. Amazon needs a share button, or maybe they have one and I just have it out blocked. But this is the box Michael and I are using. The one I linked to is the better version of
Yeah,
it.
Jetway, that's right.
They are fairly nice boxes. This one has 2 HDMI outs. Michael, does yours have that?
No, but do you have dual gigabit Ethernet?
Yeah.
You do? Let me see.
Yeah. I have dual gigabit Ethernet and 2 HDMI ports. So.
Oh, well, yeah, that's pretty reasonable. That's a good box for that.
And it's fun because I don't use any video.
Oh, actually, and they're Intel gigabit Ethernet. I'd actually prefer that to the Realtek. Actually, I'm not sure. Is that supported well under Linux? Is that supported?
Better than yours.
Calm down. Is that better? Is that well supported under Linux? I'm assuming.
Yeah, Intel network cards are one of the best supported driver cards of all time.
Okay. Oh, well, I really wasn't terribly clear about that, because most of the Linux boxes I've used have had like a lot of Realtek devices, as I mentioned.
Yeah, the only thing that Intel is not compatible with is XP.
Oh,
Like
I mean, I could give.
VirtualBox.
Yeah,
On VirtualBox, you notice you always have to go back to the PM2 or whatever, not the Intel versions.
Not sure what you're talking about, but yeah, no, I mean, that's good to know. And I like this. Let's see, 20 pounds. Does that thing really weigh 20 pounds? I don't see that happening.
It is a pretty heavy little box. I wouldn't want it thrown at me from a distance.
Well,
Um,
I just the only thing I would want though is that the
that's
2930 is an older processor now at this point. I would like a slightly newer model. But
Glenn, that's exactly what Michael and I were going after for that box is the dual Ethernet, and these boxes have been known for internet gateway setups. They're extremely small.
Yeah.
They are passively cooled. You can see the case is basically a heat sink. It does get a little warm to the touch, so I wouldn't be like stacking books on top of it or anything.
Yeah, it does
But
get a little warm, but other than that, it's fine. But
it
listen,
runs great. You would have to get a stick of RAM and a hard drive.
or some sort of storage. Now you have a lot
They do
of options for sure.
mSATA options
Yeah,
for it.
yeah. So I have an mSATA drive in mine, 120 gig Samsung Evo, 850 Evo SSD in mine. I don't know what Brantley has in his, but SSDs have gotten so cheap now for those smaller sizes. It's not uncommon to see something like that for anywhere from $40 to $60, I think. So that cost is relatively minimal, and you do got to get some RAM. 4 gigs. I don't know how many. I think he just has one socket of RAM. That's the limiting factor for this platform, is that while technically the processor could support dual channel memory, they only usually typically have one memory slot, and that limits the capacity to 4 gigs. So you can't put I don't think there's any 8 gig module support for that. But
What?
again, 4 gig is typically more than sufficient for a gateway. I mean, consider what are you talking about with the routers that you typically purchase in a retail consumer like a Best Buy or something like that. They would
Well, so
have.
what else is fun about my version is mine does support 8 gigs. So
No, yours doesn't. I'm looking.
mine has 8 gigs in it right now. I'm looking at it.
It says maximum 4 gig capacity.
Well, it's got 8 gigs in it. So
Okay. I thought that wasn't possible with one memory slot.
see, look at my screen. It's my Intel Celeron box, right? And it has
I see it. I see it. I see it.
10% of 8 gigs used.
So is that just okay? Then I didn't buy an 8 gig stick because I saw the marketing material. That's pissy. Shit.
Yeah.
I should have put an 8 gig stick.
It probably was. I want to say it was answered in one of the Amazon questions. They were like, "What does this support maximum RAM?" And someone said 8 gigs is running in mine. I was like, "Awesome, I'll get 8 gigs then."
Oh, I specifically didn't purchase it because I didn't find at the time, and this was a couple years ago. I didn't find corroborative evidence that it did support that, even though I obviously knew that 8 gig DDR3 modules were a possibility. It's dependent upon the memory controller to be able to properly address that many rows or whatever. So very good to know. Now apparently I have an upgrade path if I need more RAM in my router. Wow, that's cool. Do you know what the wireless is on that? Mine's an Athros on mine. Is it Athros on yours?
I don't know. It's supposed to be Bluetooth and
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well,
wireless.
I think mine's Bluetooth as well, I think, but
It
again,
hasn't been. I doubt it's Atheros because it hasn't been picked up by any of the Linux systems I've had. So I'm betting.
oh, well, that's maybe a minor plus on my end, but again, the wireless is probably not something you're buying this for. The wireless is, I mean, this day and age, unless you have AC in a
But it's
router,
replaceable too. So I mean,
Oh yeah, that's true. Mine's replaceable as well. It's on a little PCI Express mini little looks like the MSATA.
Glenn, you know what I did find out though, running Untangle for a couple months on it, is that storage does come in handy with if you're storing reports for all of your internet gateways activity. So that is a good area to have storage on if you're doing a lot of storing reports, or if you're required to store reports for your gateway activity. So.
Well, needless to say that I don't know what your processor load is on your little nice box there, and I
I
want to.
wouldn't recommend using your router for a NAS box though,
Well, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't. I just don't think these OSs are.
because it's connected to the internet. Like you're
Oh,
linked in between the
yeah,
internet.
I get that. Okay, I get that concern, but I think there are ways to
And it's
mitigate
not
that.
per
But
se your router really. This is more your internet gateway. It does do routing functions, or you can have it do routing functions, but internet gateway is the more appropriate term. That's it.
yeah, I mean, I don't want to be nitpicky about it, of course, but
Did you
I
just
do
say?
like the term
Did you just say Nick Picky?
probably should have.
I'm gonna start calling that from now on, though.
New word, folks. You heard it here first. But at any rate,
We'll figure out what it actually means later.
I
But
like Brantley's comment though about the security. That's something that I didn't consider so much for having the using it as a NAS device, and I thought they actually would work pretty well for that. But I do want to compliment you on the pick of that box. It looks like really solid. But what is your, and I never get this question out first, what is your processor usage? Mine stays next to nothing no matter what I seem to have OPN Sense doing. Has that been your experience for that processor?
I mean, it's sitting at 4% right now.
What are you doing with it?
Everything. I do a lot, so.
Okay, 4%. Have you ever seen it spike to double digits? I
Yeah,
don't
I've had it up to 20%, I think.
really.
Yeah.
Interesting, because I've seen
But
very
I
low
do know how
CPU
to
usage.
internet better than you, so that's probably why.
I've seen very low CPU usage, leading me to believe that that processor is not ever going to be a limiting factor with a gateway or a device that's routing or even doing VPN or anything else. It doesn't seem to be that it would be. It in and of itself would be any limiting factor in performance. But as far as your squid stuff goes, I mean, lots of RAM, gigs is certainly a boost to that and
Yeah.
a benefit to that. And 120 gig SSD is more than probably a just fine size. Now you don't need a ton of storage for that, right? 120 gig SSD would be fine for squid caching, correct? Or do
Yeah.
you disagree? Yeah, the more the better, but beyond a certain point, I think the returns are diminishing.
I mean, I don't think so. I think the larger squid cache you can have, the better.
Well, but I think, but the
But
larger the
I
better.
mean,
But listen, it's better if you
nowadays,
have more
unless you're
users.
setting up, a
Look, the benefits of a squid
SSL
proxy for a single
proxy.
user is I think relatively small. I mean, the benefit, the potential benefit for let's say 10,000 users using a squid proxy is much better than one user doing it because you're unlikely to serve up repeat content like that.
That's interesting coming from someone that has a data cap.
Um, But I mean, yeah, I have a data cap, and I know data caps are important, and Squid proxy caching can help with that. But for performance, solely for performance, I don't necessarily think that it's a good idea. But I do agree
Well,
for.
if it helps with your data cap, it's obviously helping with your performance.
Okay, all right, if that's how you want to look at it, sure. Yeah, I agree with that.
Um, anyway, moving on from that topic, Radiohead is making sensations on the future again. Apparently, they've gone and erased themselves from the internet. And this is interesting because this is a band that has, for the past couple albums, essentially pioneered themselves on the internet to the point where they have started giving away their albums and just asking for pay what you want. They apparently went through and replaced their homepage with a plain white screen, have deleted their Twitter and Facebook history, and are sending out hard copy leaflets in the post. So who knows what those guys have.
Retro, huh?
But I really like that band. They're always on the cutting edge, it seems. So
Well,
whatever they have planned is going to be interesting.
well, we'll see. They're getting older, but we'll see.
Okay, we'll see. Shall we see?
P.S. I've got a doctor's appointment at 11 today, and I also have one tomorrow at 4.
People trying to track Michael's privacy, take note.
Yep. And he also won't be at home.
Yep, won't be at home. At what time was it, Michael? 11 and 4?
Shit.
Please take your computer with you, Michael.
You should take it with you everywhere you go, Michael. Although I don't know if you're, what is it, a Corolla?
Stop.
Camry?
Stop.
It's some sort of Honda. Those are like
Yeah.
the most breakable, innable cars.
You've been naming Toyotas, by the way, but
Yeah, you were, but listen,
his is a Honda.
we're over an hour now, so if you guys want to end the show, we can go ahead and do that.
Wow.
Wait, Glenn has a side question.
I like blue. Do you like blue
Oh, really?
as a color? Yeah, like a car.
Me?
Color.
Shut.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Do you like that color?
No. Well, wait. When WSU is, I've only used on Win 8.17, but 8 running infinite to get the required updates to start with 8.1. The Win 8.1.
What RTO Texas? It's gonna call you your cell to let you know what you meant.
Thanks, RTM. Glenn, no, you were okay. So what's Glenn's issue with Windows 8 here? Wait.
So, Wusu Softline doesn't support Windows 8, which
Yeah.
you found out earlier as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he's having issues getting the updates required to start the 8.1 upgrade, as Windows Update is foobar, and sometimes even Windows 8 itself is foobar. Yeah, I think, Glenn, you're probably going to be looking at just either reloading or probably just reloading with an 8.1 media. That's what I would assume they're probably going to start going for. It would make the most sense for them. They wouldn't have to continue supporting something they feel they shouldn't support anymore. So yeah, I would probably start carrying around a 8.1 media with me if I had run into a lot of Windows 8 things. It would be really
How
nice.
is that going to solve your problem? I mean, it's not going to be able to upgrade them. You can just reload them.
I said you would have to reload it. I said I was about to say it would be really nice if their 8.1 would just upgrade 8.
Yeah.
I doubt it will do that. So. Windows 10 is free for Windows 8 users too, though, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, if you're going to go to the trouble of reloading a computer, I would not reload 8 ever when 10's available. I mean, right? Wouldn't you agree with that? I mean, I might reload 7 if somebody really had to have 7, but I don't think I would over reload 8. If you're going to go through the steps, if you're going to go through the hassle of reloading, you just push them to 10.
Well, actually, 10 would upgrade 8. So 10 would give you the option to upgrade, because 10 can do an in-place upgrade of 8.
Well, that's even better for him.
I really don't see a reason to stick with 8 when 10 is essentially 8 plus.
His user,
Like,
did you see what he said? His user
well,
wants.
that's what I was commenting on. Is I don't see why people would want to stick with 8 when 8 is essentially the Windows Vista to Windows 7. So 10 is Windows 7, 8 is Windows Vista. So if someone has 8, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't go to 10. You can set it up exactly the same. You can enable the Metro start menu. You can have everything essentially the same as what's in 8, just better.
Yeah, I don't even
lose
think the
the
user
charm.
experience would be.
You do lose the charms bar
Oh,
though.
who uses charms? And if you do, you've got more problems.
So I don't know.
Well, I know it's tough with customers, Glenn, and I wish you the best at communicating those things to them. But you know what? I mean, fine. If they want to, if they want to do 8 and make you spend the time on it, just make sure you charge them for the unusual request.
Indeed.
So, what else we got? What other things?
Yeah, and that's so strange because 10 is really not rubbish. It is really it's so far one of the nicest versions.
Yeah, it's well, like I was mentioning to everyone about, I think it was last Friday, maybe Thursday or something like that. But basically, the news channel that had the Windows 10 upgrade, and they were all, pretty much just joking at Windows 10 expense about that whole situation, and that maybe we shouldn't upgrade to it and all that. I disagree with that, but what I do agree with all the people that dislike it is the privacy issue. Like I said, if I just look at what my Untangle box is, or not my Untangle box, what am I talking about? If I just look at what my Pi-hole is communicating and what my OPN Sense box is communicating with, why is Microsoft at the top of my lists? Why, and that level of
I do
advertising.
wonder that, Michael. I do wonder that, actually, about you specifically. Not just us, but you specifically. Why are they at the top of your list, is what I wonder.
Mouth extraction. Where Win 8 is just a bit better than visiting the dentist. Where Win 8 is.
Yes, Glenn is saying that Windows 10 is better than Windows 8 because it's better to just get a nice checkup at the dentist than undergo Proctor's full mouth extraction. Which it looks
Mouth
like
extraction? I mean, what is involved in a mouth extraction exactly? Is that a whole jaw replacement?
It looks like Proctor's down and out.
Oh. Somebody should check on him.
Oh no,
Tell
no,
Tiger to check on him.
I had a, I had a conversation with him. He's cool. He's coming home.
Yeah, well, I was about to say he shouldn't even be driving the way it sounded.
He's not actually. He's getting a ride.
Okay.
He's getting his mom to come get him, and he's gonna and he's already called the dentist. He's waiting on him.
Yeah,
I was like, why are you here this morning again?
Yeah,
get your butt, because I had a conversation with him. I was like, get your butt to the. I hope that. Oh gosh, and actually, I'm just now realizing.
Welcome, Tiki Bob. Sorry.
I hope he didn't. Oh gosh.
What?
Well, I was just wondering, how he got to the office. Yeah, if he wasn't already in the office, and if it had anything to do with my rant this morning.
Oh no, he probably was already heading that way.
I hope so, but I was scared this morning because at 5 minutes to the show, no one was even answering the chat, and I was like, nah, I need to test my audio. No one's here to help. And then I had to go do other stuff too, also, and then I had to come back anyway. But I freaked out a little bit, and I was like, happy Monday. And so then yeah, but yeah, I made him. I was like, I don't know why you're here, but you shouldn't have been. You should be convalescent. So go do that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, it's like I was telling Johnny, you're not going to get it any better. The only way you're going to get better is by sleeping it off and taking the pain pill.
Well, see, his issue now is that he's been taking the antibiotic, but the swelling has gotten worse, although the pain is not. So call the dentist and just make sure everything's cool.
Oh, that is dangerous.
Yeah, because I was like, he's like, well, I was going to see how I felt after the show, and I was like, no, you're not.
If there's an infection involved, that's
the thing that you don't mess with.
An infection in your mouth is geographically local to your brain, and that's not a good thing.
Any kind of dental problem that you just neglect, which I have some that I do too, and I've got a plan in action, but there's when you neglect that stuff, like you just said, Michael, there's a direct line to your brain, I guess. I don't know, but there's some other stuff. People have headaches and and just all kind of weird things, depression, and just crazy things happen from just bad teeth you don't take care of.
At my 320 lines of resolution, you did not look good today. Thank you, Glenn, for that update from the sub-SD world of Australia. Awesome.
And Glenn, I'm going to go ahead and assume you meant you had 4 teeth pulled, not that you only have 4 teeth.
I only have 4 teeth left. I've got the rest of them pulled.
I don't know. I don't know who's seen a picture of Glenn. I seen one, and he's not smiling.
It looks like Bugs Bunny. He's got those 4 teeth in the front or something like that. That's it.
I had 4 teeth pulled at one time too. That was my mouth surgery that I had back in college.
I've never had any teeth pulled, but
I had one pulled back here. Actually, Jada has the same tooth pulled too. It's weird, but I had one pulled back there for it. Just I had an issue one day, and I didn't even know about it. My face was like I was 20, or 20, 22 or 21, 22. I was bartending, so I don't know, it's around that era, 22, 23. But it was it swelled up like this, and then I had another tooth on this side, on top that has the same issue. Had the same issue then, and actually it's still in there. I mean, I did make an appointment.
I didn't have to get my wisdom teeth pulled.
Doesn't hurt.
4 other ones pulled, so.
Anyway, enough about the teeth.
Mm-hmm.
And the pain.
Like dental insurance. North Carolina's that NC mom thing. I put it off for a number of years because I didn't actually have money. Or I didn't realize, that there were actually a lot of options out there.
Well, dental insurance is almost worse than medical insurance. Like, they make you wait and have the insurance for like a year sometimes before you can.
Well, there are a lot of benevolent societies and things like in North Carolina. There's the NC Mom or something, and it's but it's about dentists that just travel. They get together and they travel around with a little portable dentist office, and they come to your city near you, and they work for a weekend or whatever for free. So,
did you guys see that
stuff like
talk
that
about it? The Windows 95 and the Apple Watch. That was a hard video to watch. Let me tell you, the fact that it took something like 6 hours or something like that to load Windows, or 4 hours to load Windows. They fast forwarded it in the video, but him moving the cursor is a nightmare, and I do not understand how he was effectively interacting in it. It appeared as if, and maybe I'm wrong, and you should watch it, but maybe I'm wrong, but it would appear as, and then they say something about he's having the pointer, do the touch is moving the mouse pointer, but it looks as if the response to his mouse movements are significantly behind what he's actually doing. So how he's even able to click on the menus and navigate them seems to be.
They did that on Android Wear 2 years ago, and it was the same experience.
Yeah. I understand, but I just might have thought that. I
Fanboy.
just might have thought that there would have been with the with the faster processors and different things and the specs of the Apple Watch that it would have run it a little bit more quickly, but I guess not.
Even modern computers at the time didn't run Windows 95 quickly, so it's not exactly.
But a 4-hour boot, I think you would definitely find to be intolerable. Um, okay, I'll just you post your own news and talk about it then. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think we're good. We are past our hour time limit, so let's wrap her up and get this work week started. Happy bank holiday for all of y'all that have a holiday today, and enjoy your early May celebration, however you may celebrate that. Um, Otherwise, thanks everyone for joining us, and we will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m.
10.
And we're here to answer any questions about our software services, so feel free to do that, and we'll see y'all then. Take us on out, Michael.
Oh, yeah, bye, internets. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.